Hey, what's going on, guys? I recently finished watching the X-Men and Spider-Man cartoons from the 90s, finishing up that animated universe. Now, these shows had a bunch of different stories that I really liked. However, I found that I really liked X-Men a lot more than Spider-Man, notably because in X-Men there were a lot more, shall we say, personal dilemmas and very intriguing stories. Some of my personal favorite episodes from this show included Days of Future Past, Beauty and the Beast, the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix sagas, and One Man's Worth. Beauty and the Beast was a great story for me because it showed that not all humans were anti mutant, and it was a great forbidden love kind of tale, a sort of Romeo and Juliet for Marvel Comics, so to speak. Love that would probably eventually fail. One Man's Worth showed the importance of one life in the lives of every person you come across. Without Charles, these mutants had extremely different lives, so much that they were nearly unrecognizable to the normal show. Though I will say, Spider Man had some good episodes too, just not as many that stood out like X Men. Though I did have a lot of fun with the Alien Costume Saga, The Man Without Fear, and Goblin War. I didn't see as many good episodes in Spider Man because most of the episodes felt like a downer. But I think that was the point to show the struggle that comes with this kind of power. However, while I really enjoyed these shows, I won't lie to you, I felt a little underwhelmed after I watched the finales. Why? Well, for one major reason. They teased that there was going to be at least one more adventure with these characters. What I mean by that is that in the final episode for X Men, appropriately titled Graduation Day, Charles is taken off world by the Shi'ar Empire, and don't ask. And the X Men are told that they must now continue his fight without him. And I was genuinely excited to see what adventures they would go on after this. Say, maybe on a mission, falling back to ask Charles for assistance out of habit, only to realize they have to now rely on themselves. But then I realized that they couldn't do that, because this was the finale. However, this was about as perfect a finale that this show could have gone out on, giving us a perfect wrap up to Charles's story and making us think of the possibilities. And I really have to give credit to the entire staff, including Eric Lewall and Margaret Loesch, for making this one of the most adult children's cartoons ever. However, I can't exactly give Spider Man the same level of praise. Even though I did enjoy it, there was still so much left unexplored when I watched the finale. For instance, Mary Jane was still stuck in the interdimensional vortex, going from this reality to who the heck really knows at this point. And everything that happened during that period was quite literally Peter living a lie. Then there was the fact that Peter was doing what he could when he was with MJ, or at least who we thought was MJ during those episodes, to make things work between being Peter Parker and Spider Man. And not to mention, Madam Web's final words in the show are,
"We are going to find the real Mary Jane Watson."
I literally couldn't hold myself together and was looking forward to them finding her and at least bringing her home. However, they just end the series right there. I was legitimately disappointed. Why would they tell us that Spidey is going on one last adventure if they don't give us the goodies? If they wanted to leave the show on an open ended note, then give us an actual open ended note. This ending felt like if we got the MCU all the way up to Infinity War, and then there was no other MCU movie to follow it up with. At least, that's how it felt to me. All I needed was an ending that felt more fulfilling. Like, they find MJ and bring her home. But she isn't the same Mary Jane that Spidey revealed his identity to, nor the one that Peter married. So now, he has to think about if he wants to put her through all that again, and the story could end there. Yes, it would still leave me with too many questions, but I would be more satisfied because Mary Jane is back where she needs to be, and it acts more as a dilemma for Peter rather than a mission we never see him complete. It could open up the door to a whole new set of possibilities. Sorry about that onslaught of rambling. I just had a lot more feelings to express about Spider Man's finale rather than X Men's finale. Especially since I also watched Spectacular Spider Man before watching these shows. And that had a perfect kind of open ending, well, ending that a Spider Man show should have for the series finale. But I don't know, maybe that's what the writers wanted, but the studio pulled the plug, and so they couldn't tell this story. If that's the case, then I completely understand. Studios do that to cartoon shows all the time. All I'm saying is that I just felt very underwhelmed by Spider Man's finale. As I was writing this, I found an insert that said that showrunner John Semper revealed that if the show went on, the real Mary Jane would have been brought back into the show. So, yeah, there's that. So anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed this. Be sure to like the video if you want to see more Marvel show reactions, and leave a comment. Let me know what you want me to talk about next. And subscribe if you haven't, and ring the bell for notifications. That's all for now. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Say, maybe on a mission, they fall back to asking Charles for existence? Asking Charles for existence.